Today I have Azlan from OtomateMe joining us in this video interview and also podcast, which I will going to translate later on. And we're going to talk a bit about marketing automation and also debunking some myths and also some things that people are doing wrongly, some things that people are doing right. And I think Azlan, you have a lot of knowledge in this area where you have helped a lot of clients in their automation, especially in messaging. All right, why don't you do a quick introduction of yourself and tell us who you are.
My name is Azlan. I'm the co-founder of OtomateMe. One of our flagship solutions is called Ottawa. It's a solution that helps businesses send personalized WhatsApp messages to their clients to help customer retention, sales, marketing, or any additional processes they have in their business that is related to WhatsApp. We can help automate that.
Well, the area that Ottawa helps is more on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why WhatsApp?
Because where we are in Malaysia, WhatsApp is ubiquitous. Everyone uses WhatsApp. So if you want to communicate with someone, you have to use WhatsApp. And I think if you look at your phones nowadays, and if you look at how much time you're spending per app, either number one or two is usually WhatsApp. It's either Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, but WhatsApp is always there. And that's where people connect with their families, people connect with their friends, and exceedingly so, people are connecting with businesses directly through WhatsApp as well.
Now, there's a lot of sites, e-commerce, online sites that where they have the chat widget on their site, right? Should we use that chat widget, or should we change it into a WhatsApp widget?
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it depends on what your objective is, right? Having a chat widget reduces the friction for the person who's asking the question, because they don't get redirected to a different website. It's a pop-up right there. They can still browse the website while they're waiting for someone to respond, or they're just leaving their details there. WhatsApp widgets over there, usually it redirects you to a different website. It redirects you to WhatsApp web or WhatsApp desktop if you have that installed on your computer. So when you're chatting with someone, it's taken away from the experience from the e-commerce store. And then people don't always respond immediately. So at that time, then you just have to toggle back and forth. The experience-wise, I think having a chat widget definitely has its place.
So we should use chat widgets instead?
It depends. Once again, it depends, because the plus side of WhatsApp is that conversation that the person has with you is something they're going to carry with them wherever they go. So for a chat widget, once you close the browser, it's gone. But if it's in your WhatsApp, every time you're walking, and at least for the next couple of days, you'll see the chat is still there. And it's still always a reminder that, hey, if I wanted to reach out to this company, I can just send a message right here. So it depends on what you're going for. In terms of support, I think WhatsApp is great, but in terms of assistance while you're making a purchase, maybe a chat widget would be better. That gives you context as well, because on the other side, the person who's servicing the client or servicing the customer, with the chat widget, they'll get a lot more information. So they'll know exactly what pages they've browsed, what they're currently looking at. They have more contextual information. That's assuming you're using one of the good chat widgets that provides you all this insight. So when you're helping the customer, you can really provide personalized help that way.
Do you think there's a difference between B2B and B2C customers? If I'm a business to business business, right? Would I want to talk to my customers on WhatsApp, or should I be professional, email, website chat? Do you think there's a difference?
I think it's on a spectrum. So for example, in our experience, there are definitely clients who find it very unprofessional to speak to their clients through WhatsApp. And the reason is because of their nature, the nature of their business, they're very professional. They need a paper trail of all the communication. And in these businesses as well, when someone leaves, they take the WhatsApp conversations with them, or they take that relationship with them. With an email, that's always there.
Under the company, right?
Under the company, So in B2B, we've seen it both ways. But nowadays, what we are seeing is that mindset is shifting. Where companies that were before no, we want to keep it completely professional, completely email only, they're now exploring WhatsApp as a way to send updates, notifications, invites, as they're running webinars, events, etc., to try and be closer to their customers.
Right. And what's the best use case you have seen I mean, you are in the business of automation for WhatsApp, right?
Yes.
Sending broadcast messages, sending like reminders,
Mhm.
right? And all those kind of like use cases.
Yep.
What's the best use case you have seen so far in one of your customers?
It's actually quite widespread. Depends on the metric that we're tracking. So for some clients, we know that we're not helping them generate more sales, but rather we're helping them have stronger relationships with their customers.
Okay.
So for example, we have insurance companies that use us to send personalized birthday messages to their client base. And what that does is every time you send a birthday message or a Happy Chinese New Year or Selamat Hari Raya, it sort of just builds that relationship, and they're like, oh, thank you. Here, I actually have a friend who needs insurance.
Okay.
Could you please help support them as well? But on the other hand, we have clients, for example, who are in the financial service space. So they need to send reminders of overdue payments. Emails were getting missed. People weren't responding to emails or SMSs.
Okay.
So we're helping them cut down the time it takes to recoup back the money they're owed.
Okay, so they put in all their dues in one sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and then they hit send and say, okay, this is something you owe us.
Yes.
And it goes to everyone's WhatsApp.
Yes. So it sends them a message that, hey, you owe us this amount. It was due at this time.
Okay.
So for example, there's even clients that we integrate directly into their invoicing system.
Okay.
So now we're not just sending the message, we're extracting the invoice PDF
and doing it automatically.
and sending it to
Extracting from PDF.
Yeah, PDF, attaching it to WhatsApp
Okay.
and sending it.
Oh, okay.
Here are
okay.
the 50 invoices that are overdue.
All right, and that's all automated.
That's all automated.
All right. So you save their time,
Mhm.
and time saved is money earned, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it saves relationships as well, because I think, at least from our own experience in our business and the people that we've spoken to, chasing people for money is always, it's tricky.
Yeah.
And it can be detrimental to the relationship that you have with the person. So if I'm friendly with them,
Okay.
I'm the point of contact within the company, and then chasing them for payment, it becomes tricky.
Okay.
So that's where automation actually helps, because automation is emotionless. It's very direct.
Because the person on the other end also knows that it's an automation. Is that it? Okay.
Yes. And in those situations, they know it's an automation.
All right.
And that's a good thing, because what that's doing is, you know that they're getting those reminders, they're getting those nudges, but it's not straining the relationship you have with them.
But do people ignore messages? People ignore WhatsApp messages as well, right?
To be honest, I think over time, people get desensitized to everything. So that's where you have to continue being creative.
Okay.
And of course, what we provide is one part of the solution. Depending on what your requirements are, there are also other things that you have to do in conjunction with what we're providing, because you want a holistic approach to try and solve whatever problem that you're having.
So this is like debt recovery.
Yes, for car hires, for insurance, for normal retailers who have credit terms that get exploited by clients, etc., etc. So different use cases. So not so much marketing, but it is automating a process that they have within their business that no one is willing to do, but it needs to be done.
Do you know what they put inside the messages? Like do you have an example of what we can do? Like for example, if I have 20 clients who owes me something, what should I write in the message, and how should I word it or position it?
I think that first, be direct.
Okay.
Start with a clear, dear Mr. X, please note that you owe us X amount of money. Yep. But use that as an opportunity to build your brand as well. So put your own brand voice inside the message.
Right.
And experiment, A/B test, because you can see what works, what doesn't work. And with our system, we do automatic follow-ups as well. So if they don't acknowledge the message 24 hours later or 48 hours later,
send a follow-up message.
Just send a follow-up message asking, hey, Mr. X, just checking in if you've received our request for payment, etc., etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with WhatsApp broadcast messages, right? I mean, generally in the market, I know a lot of businesses who thinks of it as a broadcast system. They want to send messages, they want to blast.
Yes.
I mean, I don't like the word blasting. It's like they're not really caring about their customers, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of these mindsets of these people is that they want to blast messages to these people, right? Do you recommend customers to get a reply, or it's more like a one-way communication? I talk, you listen, or is it more like a conversation? Do you encourage that?
I always encourage a conversation.
Okay.
And the reason is because when you're trying to build a relationship with someone, it has to be give and take. So there's this famous psychologist, I think his name is John Gottman. He runs the Gottman Institute, and what he studies is actually relationships between married couples. And he came up with a way, through research with his partners, a way to identify if a married couple would succeed or fail. How many end in divorce, how many end up being married for a long time. And one of the things that was a key indicator is how many things you give versus how many things you ask for. So if all you give is insults, but you never give any compliments, that strains a relationship. And so that they came up with a ratio of 5-1. So I somehow translate that into relationship with customers as well. So give them 5 things of value before you ask for something. And try and maintain that that sort of ratio. It's tricky because sometimes you don't have that much value to give in terms of messages. But what I find hasn't really worked a lot in the market is when the first message you send out is you're asking for something. So
but everyone does that, right?
Everyone does that.
How can we change that?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because it does yield results. And it depends on in the industry you're in, where sometimes you just need one person to say yes to cover your cost for a month, for 2 months, for 5 months, for a year. And in those situations, telling them that, hey, there's a better approach isn't necessarily what they're looking for because they're doing what they're doing and it's working for them. I think that's where government regulation also comes into place about what kind of communications you can have, what the best approach is in terms of the relationship and the privacy of a consumer as well. Because, of course, because everyone has WhatsApp, and anyone can send you a message that does raise concerns about spam and scams through WhatsApp as well. So you have to be very mindful. You have to be very mindful about how you use the tool. It is just a tool, but the content is king. What you send, when you send it, the strategy behind it is more important than the channel. The channel can change. Today it's WhatsApp. Who knows? Fingers crossed. Tomorrow it's Telegram. Might be Signal. It was SMS at one point. SMS is still there. It still plays a role. So these channels change, but the need to communicate from a business to its customers, that's been there for thousands of millions of years. It's going to be there for thousands of millions of years after this. It's just how you do it. So,
and a client that I had, it's still a client, got his number banned. You remember that, right?
Yes.
And you help us, like, I don't know what you did, but we got it reinstated.
Yes.
So why did he get banned in the first place?
Okay, so there are a few reasons why a number gets banned on WhatsApp. One of the main reasons is the person or the people that you're sending a message to, they report it as, oh, I did not opt in to receive this message. And because of the sensitive nature of platforms such as WhatsApp as well, and depending on the climate you're in, if it's a political climate or not, WhatsApp does flag that number
by itself. Oh, okay.
A lot of things WhatsApp does are actually automated. So if you go talk to the customer support, it's all automated. So they do that in those scenarios. And what we then do is we just send an appeal to WhatsApp and we tell them that, hey, this was a legit use case. They weren't spamming. And then they review and then they just give the number back. They say it themselves. They do make mistakes sometimes. The AI does make mistakes sometimes.
But have you seen any hard ban? Like really hard ban, number not used anymore?
Yes, we have seen those. And in those situations, it's because the person was abusing the tool. Repeated, we told them many times, don't go down this approach.
What did they do? It's send message nonstop or?
Send messages that you wouldn't want to receive, that weren't direct, that were quite abstract. And sending to people who have never heard from you. So I think it's a practice that we've seen in Malaysia where you can buy lists.
Yes.
You can buy lists and then you just decide to blast out to them as a way to build awareness or as a way to drum up business. In terms of from the angle of marketing, that's not really marketing because you're not really strategizing about who you're reaching out to, what problem you're trying to solve, or how you're going to help them. It's more spray and pray.
Yeah.
And in those situations, people do get banned. And I think as they should, right? Because we don't like to be on the receiving end of those kinds of messages.
We do that to other people, right?
Yes, and yet you do that to other people. So that's where it becomes tricky, and you have to be very mindful about how you're communicating with them and have a strategy in mind. So that's why we need consultants, someone like you who comes in, because marketing is difficult. It's not easy. There are a lot of things to consider. You have to look at the competitive landscape, your positioning as a product, what service you're providing, how you're doing it, how you're different, the USPs. And it's not just during the selling phase, it's before. How do you prime the customers who will be your customers in a year from now? And after you have served them, how can you upsell to them? How can you serve them more, increase their basket value over the long term? So all of these things come into marketing. All of them have to have a strategy behind it. That's where consultants come in. They bring in the knowledge base, they bring in the experiences, the examples, the strategies, the frameworks you can use. And then you have, once you have a plan, then you execute that plan. And in that plan, WhatsApp is one of the solutions.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's not what businesses do. When you don't have the resources, you'll buy a list for 100 ringgit, and then you'll be like, okay, you know what? I'll see what I can do this way. Yeah.
All right. So in your experience, right, what do people normally get wrong about marketing automation in terms of messaging?
Segmentation is one. This is because it's the data that they have been capturing sometimes for years.
They don't clean it up.
Yeah. The numbers are formatted incorrectly. The names are, you don't know if it's the first name or last name. And when you save that information, you don't capture the valid data points that can help you segment.
Okay.
And that's also because it's a byproduct of what we're taught when we're running advertisements. Capture as little information as possible to reduce the barrier of entry for people to give you their details. But what happens later on is then it becomes too much of a hassle to try and create the right segments.
Okay.
So you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to send it to everyone.
Okay.
Then you're sending the same message to everyone. I've seen people don't remove duplicates. So they might have the same number 6 times in the same database.
So the message gets sent 6 times to the same person?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we provide the service as well of cleaning up your database, cleaning up the numbers. Well, one of the things that I've seen is when you're personalizing the message, it'll say, hey, Azlan, hey, Ruben. But the Ruben is all caps.
Because they entered in caps early on.
Yes.
Right.
But there are ways in our solution as well, in Ottawa as well, where you can take that and convert it to the proper English formatting.
Like the one you showed me, the orders.
Yeah. So you can just use a Google formula or an Excel formula to just convert it into the proper format, so that when it goes out, it looks and feels professional. So it's not like I receive a message, hey, and then my name is all caps, Azlan Malik. Then you're like, okay, yeah, I know what you're doing then, yeah.
So where can people find that formulas? Do you have it on your site, or should I create it and put it up for you?
Well, you can create it and put it up. I think it's very aptly named in Google Sheets. It's called proper.
Proper?
So equals proper, and then just select the cell, the name, and I'll turn it into proper case. So
never know that.
yeah. So that's one of the big ones. It's the data formatting.
Okay.
And depending on how much resources you want to put into segmenting. And second is the messaging. As more and more businesses come and launch, it becomes more and more important to create a USP, to know what you're really unique at, so that at least you can get a foothold in the market before you expand to the other places. And some of the SMEs that we've worked with don't really think about that. Sometimes they're providing a service they know that people need, so they don't really think about having a competitive edge in terms of a USP, something that they can shout about that other people can't.
Okay.
And it could be something as simple as I provide you better service, or I'm open 1 hour longer than other people, etc. I'll give you an example. Behind my house, there are a lot of barbers. But one day I had a need to cut my hair early on. I went, all of them are closed, except one which was open.
Okay.
So they were open at 8, where everyone else opens at 10. So I'm like, you know what? That's a unique USP. At least you are getting customers who are like, you know what, I just need a quick shave before I go to work, so I'm going to go to this one. That was what I thought when I went in. He's like, no, I'm eating breakfast. Come back an hour later. So like, oh, missed opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, but something as simple as opening 1 hour earlier, because you know that there is a segment of customers you can serve that nobody else is going to serve. It might not be a lot, but it's enough to just sort of give you a push to get your name out there and build some loyalty, etc.
Yeah. I mean, in the example, right? If I were you and that person was like open at 8, right? Maybe if you went to that barber, got your haircut there, and if you like the service, you continue going back to that person, right?
Yes, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you get into that business, right?
Yeah.
And I think USPs work that way, right? You want to capture people, not capture, and again, negative word again, right? But you want to reach out and offer, your services to people in a way that wows them, build loyalty, and then they come back again and again.
Yep.
Right. What would you say is your USP at OtomateMe?
What we pride ourselves on is the service that we provide.
Okay.
And that is not just before you start. So before you start using our solution, we'll actually sit down with you, understand what your objectives are. And there have been occasions where we say, you know what, we can't provide you the service that you need. I mean, you could use our tool to do it, but it wouldn't do a good job. So here's a recommendation for someone else who can do it better.
Okay.
So we try and understand what they're going to go through in that process. We are very clear from the onset that this is your objective, so this is what we're going to try and hit for you, even though they're doing it themselves.
And this is for every customer and every level?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And after they're on with us, because one thing we understand about marketing is that it's not just the buying process, it's the anxiety you have in using a solution. So it's the anxiety to buy, it's the anxiety to use. The anxiety to buy is the pricing. Okay, am I trusting a new product? I'm already solving this problem partially with another solution. What if this one's worse? Then there's the anxiety to use. What if I can't understand it? What if I don't have the right support to help me do what I need to do? What if there's so many what ifs?
Yeah.
So we make sure that at that point in time, we support our customers. And if that means messaging, if they send us a request at 10 p.m., we'll respond to them at 10 p.m. And what we have found is, because of the way we work, we have gotten customers who are generally quite scared of technology. They want to use the solution, but they're scared because they might be elderly, they might be more senior. So they're generally afraid of technology because they don't believe they have the capacity
to do it
themselves. So with the hand-holding that we provide, they stick with us for a very long time. And amazingly, we found that after the first few weeks of supporting them, they're running on their own. And I think that's one of a point of victory for us as well, is because they feel like they have learned something new. And I can tell you, because our solution is built on Google Sheets, I was telling Kim the other day as well that I think somehow we've found a way that people feel smarter when they're using Google Sheets. Right? Everyone's always saying that I want to be better at Excel, I want to be better at Google Sheets. And then you use our solution, and then you learn a little bit every now and then. You check a box, you click an option. So you feel like you feel empowered. So it's not just functionally solving a problem for you. Psychologically, you're feeling like you're making progress and learning. Especially when they ask us for formulas later on, like, hey, I have this data is...
How do I do that?
It's not formatted correctly, or I need to add a 6 because of the country code, or there's an extra hyphen somewhere. So we just send them a quick video, like, hey, here's a step-by-step on how you can clean it. And after they do it themselves, they're like, oh my God, yes, thank you. That was very helpful. So yeah, that's how we set ourselves apart in terms of the service we provide. And in terms of the product itself, the technology, I think we designed it to be very, very user-friendly. So a lot of the time, we're actually removing features rather than adding features. It's because we look at, okay, this feature we built, it sounded like a great idea, but not many people are using it. But what we're also seeing is that it adds 2 additional clicks for someone to do something they were doing before. So let's get rid of that and maybe save that for a future update should the need arise in that target segment, for example. Yeah.
Now, in terms of product, right, you said that it was built on top of Google Sheets.
Yes.
Not many tools are built that way, right? They normally have their own platform.
Yep.
They don't build it on someone else's platform like Google Sheets. At least they have their own interface.
Yes.
Is there any reason why you build it on Google Sheets, or it's just because out of convenience?
Once we started building it, we had our own interface before this, but we realized that, okay, people wanted something online, because before that it was just a desktop variant.
I remember that. I think I remember
Yes.
that. Yes.
So people wanted a web user interface.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was just serendipity or coincidence. I started learning about what Google Sheets can do.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, Google Sheets is actually really powerful in terms of data manipulation, data saving, collaboration, and they're continuously improving. And it's built on Excel, which doesn't matter what tool you're using, everyone tends to save their information in Excel. So even if we had our own web solution, people would still have to upload their Excel into that solution.
Yeah, CSVs and all that, right?
CSVs.
Yeah.
So that's why we're like, you know what, let's just try it with Google Sheet. Let's see how far it takes us. And initially, we were very skeptical. We were like, okay, it doesn't look as professional because
Like, it doesn't look like a SaaS platform.
It doesn't look like a SaaS platform.
Yeah.
But people were okay with it. They never complained.
Anyone like, hey, this does not look like what I expect.
No.
None at all.
No. Other partners who we were trying to work with were like, oh, okay. That they shared as some of their feedback, but none of our customers ever said, hey, why are you using a Google Sheet? They don't care. We're helping them do what they need to do.
They're just looking for the outcome.
They're looking for the outcome.
Right.
They're looking for the ease. They're looking for the support.
Yeah.
I think they find it convenient that it's in their Google Drive whenever they need to access it. I think they find that it's convenient that their data is always there in their Google Drive. So if they delete it, they don't have to worry about us having a copy of it because it's in their Google Drive. So it's the security aspect as well. So yeah, something we somehow stumbled into.
Okay.
And from our perspective as well, I think because Google Sheets is such a mature product, there are a lot of things that we don't have to rebuild.
Yeah.
A lot of functionality inside that's already there that we don't need to rebuild, that we can just build upon. So it cuts down the resources that we need to spend on this, and it helps us then offer a better price, a better service, a better product to our customers. Yeah.
Because the tool reminds me a lot of Mail Merge. I'm sure you're familiar with Mail Merge,
Yes.
right? And it's like a script or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it does not feel like a SaaS platform to me, but I still use Mail Merge sometimes as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So your solution also reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that this is something that I've come to realize that what I feel like is a SaaS product,
Okay.
some of our customers don't care. Actually, most of our customers don't care. For them, they're trying to solve a problem. They have something that they're trying to accomplish. Either they're doing it through a Google Sheet or a specific website.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to them. They just want to go in, do the thing, and move on with their day because there are other things that they have to get done. It's different for a product like a design product where you need to go and design something and you're spending a lot of time on that platform.
Okay.
So a lot of thought needs to go into every aspect of it to make sure that they have the best experience because they're spending hours on that platform. In our situation, that's not the case. So once you set up the information, you set up a campaign, you're done. You close it, you move on with the rest of your day doing other things. So I don't know. It somehow fell into that place. We might change that later on.
Okay.
Or we might not. Who knows? Yeah.
We're going to have the deal for all the listeners here. And if you want to access that, I think I put it on a link called dailycmo.net/Ottawa.
Okay.
Right, that's OTAWA, right?
OTOWA.
OTOWA,
Yeah,
sorry.
Otto.
OTOWA.
Yeah.
It's going to be that on the link. But since we're on this conversation, right?
The ideal client for us is someone who already knows what they're going to do with the solution.
Already knows.
Already knows. I think if you are already doing the process of sending personalized WhatsApp messages to a lot of people, and you're doing it manually, or you want to do it, but you can't because you don't have the resources, we can come in and automate that process for you very quickly. And the reason why those are the ideal customers for us is because they know exactly what they want. They know how they want it to be done, So we can just come in and help you execute on what it is that you want to do, so that you can move on to the next objective that you have. And an example of that is we had a customer who wanted to send weekly or monthly updates to their high net worth networks, basically. And they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They said, I have this message. I've been sending it manually. I have to forward it sometimes. I can't personalize it. But these are people I really want to maintain in my network. Can you help? Like, great. We set it up for them. 20 minutes, they're up and running. And they've been with us since then. So for us, that was like amazing. That was a great experience for us, because from introduction to phone call to conversion, it was less than 20 minutes. And they were up and running. So we were like, okay, because they knew exactly what they wanted to do, it was an easy conversation. Versus there are prospects who come in and they tell us, what can you do for me?
I'm sure there are those kind of people, right?
Yes. What can you do for me? So then that is a different kind of clientele, because then we have to somehow convince them that this would be good for your business. And depending on what their mindset is, what stage of their business they're in, that's going to be very different. And their priorities shift. So they might think that this is something they want to do today. Tomorrow, not so much. And then we've put in the effort. And then tomorrow they're like, oh, I'll get back to you next month, or I'll get back to you in a few months after that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to try Azlan's platform, that is dailycmo.net/Otowa, OTOWA. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the next episode, I guess.